Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Novo Nordisk. This was a stock analysis request from one of the followers, and I wanted to let you know that anyone can make these requests and I will most likely cover them, especially if there is an actionable trade setup to follow. And here on this chart we have an impulse that we are tracking to the upside. Yeah, this isn't the first time we have been covering this chart, and I have done a small change to the larger time frame where previously we were considering the possibility of this being an internal wave 3 within the larger third wave to the upside, but I have to say, based on the count that I can detect within this structure to the upside, I find it rather unlikely that we haven't already topped within this larger wave 3. I have a very full count. It is difficult for me to find room for this movement to the upside within this internal wave 3. So I have done the adequate adjustments for a correction in a follow-up wave 4 in this area, which is probably the most likely scenario. Yeah, from a large time frame perspective, we are tracking something like a double 1 2 1 2 setup in this area, then this as a larger third wave to the upside, probably complete, and then we would be looking for a correction here in a wave 4 in the area between the $36.4 level all the way down to the $7.6 level. Now, with that said, we do still have the possibility of further extensions to the upside within this fifth wave. It would actually be preferred, but yeah, we do have to hold this area of support in the yellow interpretation for such a scenario to still be possible, where we have a 1, 2, 3, 4th and the 5th to follow, and we have the area of support between the $92.8 level all the way down to the $43.8 level. And then at this point we do seem to unfortunately have a possible 5-wave structure to the downside done. Yeah, we could add an additional low in this area and it would be all the same, to be honest, which is why I am not necessarily so trusting of this yellow interpretation where we do form a new all-time high. But based on the sell-off that has occurred from the all-time high, we do have to also wonder how much lower can it really go, especially since also on the RSI we are at nearly the lowest point it's ever been in decades. And well, I don't necessarily believe that we need an additional top due to this fact, due to this information, but I do believe a bounce would be quite likely, and that is what I'm mainly tracking in my main scenario, my main interpretation. I am looking for the green scenario to play out, but even within the green scenario, I do still expect a larger bounce in an ABC pattern where we have a resistance area for such a wave B in the levels between the $71 level all the way up to the $115 level at the 78.6% retracement. Now, again, this doesn't mean we cannot break it and push to new all-time highs. It is just more likely, more probable to me, that since we have a possible 5-wave structure to the downside, that we form a correction, but afterwards we continue in this trend in an additional 5-wave structure in a wave C, very likely reaching the area of support here for the green scenario, and then possibly finding a bottom. Now, for this interpretation, we do also have in this wave 4 support area some structural support levels that are as well quite relevant, yeah, especially here between the $21 level all the way down to the $15 level pretty much. Now, in the shorter time frame, as I was mentioning, we do have a full possible count within a 5-wave structure, and that is what I would be tracking as an initial wave A to the downside. And in that case, I do want to make it clear, this is the 1, this is the 2, this would be the 3rd, 4th and the 5th. In this 5th wave and within this entire structure, we are tracking a diagonal pattern, a leading diagonal within the wave A, meaning that this could easily turn into an ABC, still allowing for an additional low. At this point, I find it decently likely that we may not even get it. Yeah, we do have also the structural support that is above the previous low. But even if we do, we also have the larger support zone, 61.8% retracement in the yellow scenario. And even if this scenario won't end up playing out, forming the additional fifth wave to the upside, it could still manage to provide the needed support for the larger bounce afterwards within the wave C. Now, assuming we may have bottomed, I don't have that information yet. It is possible to have the bottom here, but we could still see an additional low in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th. But if we manage to bottom here, I would be considering something like an ABC pattern still possible, especially since within this area we kind of did hold the level of support. We are likely going to open above the support area that we have here between the $55 level all the way down to the $48 level, which means that it was brief enough of a break to consider it acceptable still. Now, it won't be the case if we form an additional low, but for now I am still looking for a possible continuation to the upside within such an ABC pattern. But we need to also watch out for possible resistance for a continuation to the downside here in an extension of the yellow scenario, or could be the green scenario basically. It would be an extension to the downside of the larger wave A that would be forming, or the wave 4. And in that case, I would be watching out for resistance in the area for a wave 4 correction here between the $50.6 level all the way up to the $55.5 level. If we manage to break above the resistance here for a wave 4, I would find it rather likely that we should expect to form this additional wave C to the upside, something like this, and ideally from a larger time frame perspective, before we start our wave C to the downside, we should at least get to the area of resistance that we have here in green. So from a large time frame perspective, the green scenario is probably preferred, but even within the green scenario, we do expect still further continuation to the upside before a complete breakdown in the wave C. If that happens, it would probably have to be within a very deep extension of the wave A. Maybe we form a more direct wave 4 to the downside, but at this point, it does seem preferred to me that we form this larger wave B correction. We do also see quite consistent, let's check the weekly actually. We do see even here on the weekly quite consistent divergences that have been forming, which do also suggest that we should expect a larger retracement overall. And for now, these are the levels. This is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.